Okay, so what I wanted to do is just, I've got 30 minutes, so I've got a 2-hour presentation that we're condensing into 30 minutes, so I'll talk really fast and I'll get through it as quickly as I can. I'll try and leave some time at the end because I'm sure there'll be questions and I'll do my best to answer them. What I'm intending to do is tell you what we've done. I'm not saying that what we've done is right. I'm not saying it's best practice or anything like that, but it gives you a sense of what our experience has been like. So if I go back to January 2011, and just to clarify for people, Motorola was a single company around for about 85 years. We split into two, Motorola Solutions and Motorola Mobility. I'm the one on top, the Motorola Solutions piece. Motorola Mobility was the mobile phones, and that was subsequently acquired by Google. Motorola Solutions is still a fully independent company, and we focus on selling into government, public safety, first responders. So, for example, in London, the Metropolitan Police are one of our biggest customers. We sell encrypted infrastructure, radios. We also have an enterprise business where we sell data capturing equipment. So scanners, when the guy comes to your door with the package for your kids that they've ordered using your credit card, and they ask you to sign something, it's generally, it'll be our equipment that you're signing. It won't necessarily have our name on it, but so we do a lot of work in there. It's a much different kind of business from the handset business. The phone business was very cyclical. We had boom and bust times, and you can see based on what's happened in that industry, you know, some of the major players, company that invented it, ourselves, kind of went way down and have come back a little bit with Google, and a company like Nokia that took our space for a long time have also gone down and are now being acquired. The space that we're in, the radio business, is a very stable business, very stable. It grows. We're the industry leader in all the segments that we're in. We're number one, and we're doing our best to maintain that. We're looking for opportunities to grow. Anyway, when we started the company back in January 2011, we had this history, but we really wanted to change the way we were seen and the way that we behaved. When I joined the company 19 years ago, we had 130,000 employees. Today, the piece of the company that I'm part of is 21,000 employees. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that means for HR shared services and things that we've done there at that time. But we came up with a purpose statement to try and explain what it is that we tried to do. So it's a little bit Americana, I'm sure, for some of you, but what we've said is that right now we're helping people be their best in the moments that matter. We used this purpose statement to drive the work that we did in our particular project. We operate globally. You can see the numbers there. Our challenges as a HR organization, well, first of all, global consistency. When we were 130,000 employees, we allowed each HR organization in different countries to do whatever they wanted, to a large extent. Not totally, but to a large extent. So you had multiple systems existing all around the world. I think at the count, before we moved, we had something like 150 different applications or systems running that were fairly diverse and dispersed all around the world. So we really want to drive much more consistent approach. We talked about innovation this morning in the session that I was in, and the technology that we had a 10-year agreement with ACS Xerox that began in 1993. During those 10 years, technology had changed dramatically. Not only had our business model changed, the technology that supported HR had changed very dramatically. We were on SAP, and we had a fairly customized version of SAP, customized differently in different parts of the world, very expensive, very difficult to maintain. The feedback that we got from our clients, our customers, was not positive. Our systems weren't user-friendly. In fact, most people didn't use SAP because it was just too difficult to access. And extracting data from it, you really actually had to get an expert to help you with that. That might not be everybody's experience, I'm sure, of SAP, but certainly for us, that was the way it worked. In terms of talent management, you know, one of the things that we've changed is we've gone away from performance ratings, and that was part of the transition that we were making at the time. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that. I'm going to focus more on the systems and the services that we moved to. And you can see here that we really saw that we had a chance to do something different and really use this as an opportunity to make a big change in the way that we delivered HR services. We had a goal, and I'll go through all the details of this. I'm going to go through this very quickly. We had a goal. In addition, we also had a set of guiding principles. We spent a lot of time on setting the goal and getting the guiding principles right early on, because we knew that as we went through this process from January 2011 through to our go live date, which was January this year, we knew that we were going to be faced with a lot of decisions, and we had to have some way of anchoring the decisions that we were going to make. So, for example, this was not going to change our HR organization structure. And what we really wanted to do was to drive a direction that allowed HR to start focusing on strategically important things, getting away from administration, getting away from the day-to-day, lower level or lower value type tasks. So here's what we did. We took a new approach to PM and pay. We changed our incentive plans. We went away from performance ratings. Now people don't actually get performance ratings. They have a performance discussion, but nobody gets rated. I'm not going to spend any time talking about that. I'm going to spend time talking about our systems and our service delivery. We refreshed our HR portal. We introduced Workday. So we replaced SAP with Workday. We also introduced Cornerstone On Demand for our performance management. We have outsourced our US Health and Welfare Administration and our absence to Aon Hewitt. And we did a lot of changes and upgrades in our payroll and time and attendance systems. So we did all of this around about the same time. Also, we changed the way that we administered. We did a lot of the back office, a lot of the administration. So we had global workforce administration. We introduced 4 new employee service centers around the world. Global staffing administration in those countries where we've got volume recruitment, not in the smaller countries. And as I say, we introduced new systems that we were going to use as we went forward. Our approach, pretty straightforward, right? I mean, this is standard stuff. We had a planning phase where we actually did a lot of work around our HR service delivery model. We benchmarked. We brought in experts to help us. At the end of the day, we took the decisions, but we sought out and found what some of the alternatives were. Then we spent time designing that, and again, we used some expert advice to help us on the design side. Then we went through really executing the plan, and since then, we've spent a lot of time measuring how we're doing. High-level project plan. Interesting, this is one of the first slides that I put together two and a bit years ago, just kind of putting my thumb in the air and saying, this is broadly what we're going to do. And we've stuck with this slide ever since. So service delivery model, we had to define that. We had to go out and define also what we were going to outsource and what we were going to keep inside. We went through our RFP process, making sure that we selected those partners that were going to partner with us and that were going to give us the service that we wanted to fit in with our model. And there were 2 real streams there around technology and administration, and then implementation. Funding approval was interesting. We had a stakeholder group that we pulled together. It was the Chief Financial Officer, Chief Technology Officer, and the Head of HR. I worked closely with them on a sort of monthly basis, and getting the Chief Financial Officer as one of the key stakeholders was the best thing we ever did. It made getting funding approval a little bit easier, but he also helped us to understand some of the things that we needed to do to get the sort of approval levels that we needed. We actually did have to present a good financial case. We had our full net present value analysis over 5 years, over 10 years, and I guarantee you we would not have got sign-off had we not been able to demonstrate that we were going to make some level of savings. And it was interesting because the session this morning, they were talking about innovation on one side and cost on the other, and the 2 were not compatible. They needed to be for us to get moving forward. We had a very structured project team. We had various streams that we ran. Within those streams, we had individual projects running as well. And you can see here, operations, technology, change management was key to the success of our project here, and this whole payroll interface side piece of it as well. And we had project managers in each of our regions, so we're geographically dispersed. And one of the challenges that I pointed out at the beginning was that many of the systems and many of the processes that we had in place were driven by a country or by a region, and we want to get away from that and move to a much more globalized, standardized process and technologies. So you can see all the various aspects of that there. So I'm going to concentrate now on the technology side of it and just talk about some of the challenges that we had in technology and some of the things that we've done. So again, I mentioned earlier, our technology lagged the market. We were 10 years, probably 10 years, best part 10 years out of date. Very customized. It was complex. It was inflexible. In fact, when we actually went to introduce the new technology, I can tell you actually it was almost a year to just now. We went live in January of this year. In November of last year, around about this time, I had 16 of our countries, major countries, and we didn't know whether we were actually going to be able to pay people in January or not, because what we discovered was that there was so much customization going between the old HR system and the payroll systems that we weren't actually even aware of when we went into all of this. We really, really struggled to be able to replace some of that customization. And so we're making some significant changes. And also the other thing that we had there was payroll systems were not aligned. We had 4 different versions of ADP running around the world. In terms of HR service delivery, again, it was complex and confusing. You know, companies are moving to being global, and a lot of the managers that we've got now in the organization manage people across many different countries. And the way that we were doing certain HR transactions and the way we were doing HR work was different in different countries. And we wanted to move that to being much more consistent so that managers, truly global managers, could understand what it is that they were doing in each and every one of those countries. So there's a lack of global standardization, and the current vendor contract that we had, it's been a 10-year deal, was coming to an end in January of this year, 2013. So significant challenges, and I think significant amount of change. In terms of technology, we really wanted to try and simplify things as much as we possibly could. We really wanted to give employees a consistent experience that they didn't have previously. So what we had previously was, in some countries, employees didn't have any sort of systems capability at all. And in others, they had good support, good access. So it varied very, very much dependent on some of the historical perspectives. So you could have 2 countries today that were the same size, and the way they're supported by HR is very different for historical reasons. One was very big at a time when there was lots of funding available, had shrunk, but still maintained the same standards. Another country had been very small and grown very quickly, but didn't get any funding. So we'd make do with processes and systems that they could afford at the time. So we wanted to change all of that. So we really wanted intuitive technology, simple, globally relevant. We wanted to give our employees in particular a positive experience. It needed to be sustainable, because one of the things that we discovered over the time was our business changed so much that we had a little flexibility when it came to changing processes or technology within HR. And so we wanted the ability to be able to expand or to contract, depending on what the business was doing at the time. And one of the things that our business has done over the years is it acquires companies, and then it will divest other parts of the organization. So we wanted to be able to cope with acquiring a large company. We acquired Scion in 2012, and we needed to be able to integrate them very quickly. And we'll divest. We sold off our networks business to NSN. All of those types of things we need to be able to, from an HR standpoint, be able to handle very quickly and seamlessly for the business. So we took a different approach in terms of systems. We went to the cloud. We did refresh our HR portal. We introduced Workday and Cornerstone, as I said. We have upgraded our payroll systems in many parts of the world, not in all parts. And we also have been working hard on some of our attendance systems where there are legal requirements that we need to, where we need to record time and absence. In terms of the delivery itself, I think we've moved, significantly along the continuum in terms of globalizing and standardizing the way that we service our employee needs. We've got service centers in all parts of the world, and we've got a very consistent approach to how we deal with employees. And I'll show you some of the statistics in a minute. So I think we made some very good progress. HR portal refreshed. I won't spend time on that. Our Workday system works extremely well. Again, people have been asking me about cloud and Workday and how it works. We have been running Workday now for 10 months, 11 months in fact. System has never been down. It goes down for I think 4 hours on a Friday night for any upgrades. Apart from that, it's on all the time. You can transact in it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You can transact on your smartphone, your tablet. You don't need to be sitting at your desk. And so for a mobile workforce, it's a significant change from what we had previously. We use Cornerstone on Demand for performance management. Again, it's a little bit like Workday in that it's based in the cloud and very simple, straightforward, easy for managers and employees to use. The idea is that you can go in and change goals whenever you agree with your manager. The idea of doing performance management at one point in the year, we're moving away from that, and we're saying that goals will change and develop over time. There needs to be some control in that, and we've got it set up in a way that managers can manage that. Payroll is a particular challenge. We did upgrade ADP payroll in the US, and that was a big challenge, particularly with the interfaces from Workday into payroll. But I think at this point we've cracked it, and it's working well. All employees have been paid, by the way. So I said a year ago we were struggling to ensure that people were going to get paid. We actually didn't not pay anybody. Everybody got paid on time. In EMEA, we've moved to Ceridian as our payroll provider. It's a phased introduction. We actually went with our big countries in the first phase, so Denmark, France, Germany, Israel, and the UK, and we're doing the remaining countries in 2015. And similarly, in some select countries, we've introduced absence and time management. We're right in the middle at the moment of doing an introduction in Germany of time tracking, and it's a big challenge. I'm hoping that we get there soon because we're behind. But we deliberately picked Germany because we knew that if we could crack it in Germany, we could probably crack it just about anywhere. So we partner with Aon for our administration, and these are the areas that they provide services for us. So you can see there from the employee service centers all the way around, benefits administration, predominantly in the US, but we also have an international benefits administration and brokerage. We're live in 9 countries on the international benefits side. There are 9 big countries in addition to the US. They do our core HR transaction administration, absence management in North America and in some other countries, and also our recruiting and onboarding administration, which I mentioned previously is really just our major countries. Employee service centers. Again, I'll show you some statistics on this in the next slide, but you'll see we've had well in excess, and for the first 6 months, we've had well in excess of 65,000 contacts into the service center by employees. So employees are using it. They can access the service center in one of 3 ways. They can either They can either call, they can use web chat, which is an IM chat tool, or they can use e-service and basically type in their query. Again, this was new in many parts of the world. In the US, they were used to using call centers, service centers. Outside of that, they weren't particularly. So the challenge for us has been getting employees that are in the regions to actually use this. They actually do use it fairly extensively, but we want to use it more and more, as much as we possibly can. And you'll see when I talk about some of the challenges that we've got going forward, that would be one of the areas that we want to focus on. It just shows you where they are. We've got a service center in Charlotte in North Carolina, Krakow in Poland, Shanghai and Gurgaon, and there's a back office function also in Gurgaon that manages a lot of the transactions. So we cover the globe, and employees can basically they will contact the service center within their region. We offer, I think, seven different languages in each of these. Not in all the service centers, but across the service centers, there are 7 languages that we cover. The interesting thing is that most employees use English, so I don't spend too much time. Benefits administration, we have a system that Aon Hewitt runs on our behalf, Total Benefits Solution, TBS, that employees can go and access, see their benefits, make changes, make elections on their benefits as well. Here's some statistics that might be of interest in the first 6 months. So up until the end of June of this year, on average, we have about 7,000 Workday users. We've got 21,000 employees. On average, we've got 7,000 employees each month that use Workday. Bear in mind, some of those 21,000 are direct labor employees who will not have access to the system. More than 66,500 service center contacts. More than 25,000 unique requesters. Now, the interesting thing about that is we only have 21,000 employees, but we also have retirees. We've got a large retiree population, particularly in the US, that uses the service center as well. So, we're coming up to annual enrollment time for benefits. For those of you who understand the way US companies work, that's a big deal. And there are new rates or new options that are open to employees each year. And particularly this year, there's a lot of change in the US. And having access to the service center for our retirees is actually very, very beneficial. But it just gives you some idea of some of the statistics. And I think this is available in your pack. Some of the lessons we learned: start with process, not with systems. Every time, process. How do you make the process as efficient as possible? And then how do you get the tools to support you on that? Form strong vendor partnerships. We've got a good relationship with Workday. We've got a good relationship with Aon Hewitt. That doesn't mean that we agree with everything. It doesn't mean that we don't disagree at times around performance. We do regularly. Every month we have an operations review with Aon Hewitt around their performance. It doesn't always go swimmingly and everybody comes away thinking, wow, isn't everything great? It's not. I mean, the whole idea about having a good partnership is that you actually can challenge each other. And we expect our partners to challenge us as well. Pay attention to interdependencies. The complexity of some of these things is incredible, and the dependencies are very, very numerous. Validate assumptions as you go along. Create a master data management strategy, really important. One of the issues that we had in the previous model was we didn't have a master data management strategy. Well, what does that actually mean? It means that people pool data on employees and their workforce from different points. So you can never get anybody to agree a headcount report because people pulled it from different systems. They pulled it at different times. So we now have a single point of all truth when it comes to people and data, people related to it. Strong management. I think we've got a very strong project management capability. And the last point is not certainly last on the list, probably first on the list. The whole idea of change management communication was key to making this project a success. Finally, things that we are doing now, we're looking at stabilizing. We need to reduce the manual. We've still got some manual interventions. We need to reduce those. We need to fine-tune our operating model. First 9 months have been very challenging in terms of getting that level of stability and getting people up to speed with the new systems and the new processes. We need to continue to do that, standardize and simplify. We've got focus going forward really around continuous improvement and how we improve the processes, how they become more efficient. And we need to really use that technology. We haven't fully leveraged the technology and got a return, the full return on that investment that we believe that we can. We've got a good system and people have access to much more information now than they ever had. But what the system will offer us is our ability to really help the business to make better business decisions, because we've got talent profiles, competency modeling, we can link that to revenue generators. We can do lots of different things. We just haven't turned a lot of those features on. So that's it. I think I'm probably just got 3-4 minutes, so I've got time for questions and answers. Yep.
Hi, Gary from BP. Very, very interesting. I had heard about your performance management, so we'll not ask about that.
Yeah.
We're interested in, from a data perspective, how easy was it to migrate data from SAP to Workday, and what did you do with historical stuff? Did you take it all? Just something around how easy or difficult that was.
Yeah, Gary, good question. Yeah, you know about this stuff, right? Actually, transferring the data to Workday from SAP was okay. You needed to manage it, but it was okay and it went well. Historical data, we've stored separately. It's harder to access, so it's not perfect. But to try and take your historical data over was just going to be too much. We couldn't do it. So actually, we've stored it separately. We actually haven't had a lot of requests for historical data, but when we do, it's not that easy to get at. What we did was we actually stored it in a big database, and we've added a bit of a sort of search engine of sorts in there, so that you can run searches on it and all the rest. But only my team and some privileged people can actually do that. So we have to do it for people, but we don't get a lot of requests, to be honest. Yeah, but a good question. Yeah. What else? Yeah.
Hi there. Just a simple one, really. What would you say was your biggest challenge going through this transformation?
I think we underestimated how complex all of it was going to be. The integration of the HR data into payroll was hugely challenging, and we didn't, and by the way, I don't manage payroll. Payroll is actually managed by finance, so we're trying to get two corporate functions together, and that was not easy. And actually what we did was if I was doing it again, I would have got the finance function involved much sooner than we did. We had assumed that the integrations, albeit they wouldn't be straightforward, we could manage our way through it. What we actually found was they were really, really complicated. And because there was so much customization at the other side as well, that it was just not straightforward to do that. So I think that in itself was a big challenge. I think also subsequently, when I think about it, we invested a lot in change management, by the way. We had a whole work stream put together on change management. And still today, you think we just didn't do enough, because people will still ask questions and you think, but how could you possibly ask that question? We've talked about this. And what we discovered, of course, was even within HR, we had all these great newsletters and flyers and things like that, and people never read them. Or they read them, but they didn't understand them. And so we were making assumptions, I think, that everybody understands this, straight, and it's not. So I think certainly payroll integration was a big challenge for us. I think the change management, although I think we did as good a job as we had thought we were going to, we probably should have done a lot more. But the other stuff, the technology, going through the RFP process, the contracting phase, all of that, actually went pretty good. Any other questions? Two there, yeah.
What was the major mistake you made during the entire project?
Major mistake?
Yeah.
It's hard to pick one. Major mistake. Well, I still go back to the things that I talked about there. I mean, the one thing that this year certainly, so it's interesting, the last 2 years when we had a project plan and we had all this governance and all this sort of stuff, it was okay, right? Because we managed our way through it. The first 6 months of this year were horrendous because there was lots of things that weren't working. You know, our integration file from Workday to the US payroll, and the US payroll, by the way, is 50% of our employee population, had bugs in it, right? Or it wasn't doing exactly what we wanted it to do. And whilst we managed to pay people, we weren't always making the right benefit deductions, and that created a lot of noise. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, people had genuine issues, right? But it created a lot of noise, and it distracted us to a large extent. It took us away from the things that we should have been doing because we had to go and fix a lot of those issues. So that probably was the biggest mistake, but that was after go live because we just totally underestimated. We knew there would be a lot of challenges and we knew there would be a lot of issues, but we underestimated just the size of it and how much, angst it caused in the system, the overall system, not the electronic system, but the system itself. That would be it. But I mean, I'm glad to say that we're probably through most of that now. But again, if I was advising people who are going to go in and do something like this, I would say you need to make sure that you have enough resources and focus after go live as you have going into it, because it's not going to end there. It's actually going to carry on, and sometimes probably worse. Aye.
I'm interested in, so if you remove the performance management ratings, I know you probably don't want to answer this question, but how does the organisation deal with poor performance then?
Yeah. We believe that you should be dealing with poor performance as and when it occurs, right? And you should deal with good performance as and when it occurs as well. We still have a way of recognizing and rewarding high performance, right? So 25% of our population get what's called a discretionary award. So we're right in the middle of doing that just now. So I have the ability to take, within my organization, 25% of the population and give them an additional award when it comes to bonus. We have a bonus system that really is driven. It's not exactly like this, but it's almost like a profit sharing plan where everybody basically, you have a target. If the company makes its numbers, you get your target payout. Your target payout can vary depending on your grade and all the rest. So on top of that, there's a discretionary element that I can award that rewards good performers. But we believe now that we've moved away from this annual process where, we sit down and we still do that. We still talk annually but it's more, it should be a culmination of a whole series of discussions that are happening throughout the year. And so our belief is that managers should be, whether they are or not is another matter, but should be having those discussions on an ongoing, regular basis. They don't need a rating to do that. They don't need a rating to tell somebody that they're not delivering against their goals, and we expect that they should do it. Now, the reality, I suspect, and I don't know, but I suspect is that's still a challenge because we're still in the early stages of we just introduced this 2 cycles ago. So we've still got to see how it works. But so far, the feedback that we get from employees and managers is this plays much more towards collaboration and what we're trying to do across the organization. And by the way, I know I'm running late, but one of the other things that we've done around systems, we've got Workday, we've introduced Jive. So Jive is almost a in-house social media type of system. And we link Workday with Jive. Talent profiles get fed into Jive. And people can search, and they can say, I'm looking for somebody that's got, I don't know, project management skills. Oh, there's Norman Ross. He's got project management. I must contact him and see if he can give me some advice. So we're trying to change the way that, so it's not just about getting rid of performance ratings. We're also trying to drive this cultural change around how do you collaborate better and use technology to help that.
Great. Let's thank you all. Thank you.
Okay.